Welcome back to Reconfiguring Reality. I'm Jesse.
I'm the Jericho.
I'm Laura,
And I'm Josh.
and our topic today is hobbies. Hobbies. What kind of hobbies do we want to discuss?
Do we want to start off with the hobby we all share, or because actually I think me and Laura share two hobbies.
I think we all share three.
Well, she doesn't crochet; she knits.
I
That's
am
probably
learning
the
how to
same
crochet
thing.
though.
If you can teach me, then
To knit or
please
to
do.
crochet?
I already know how to knit. I cannot figure out crocheting for the life
I
of
use
me.
a Jesse. I use a loom. I can't freehand when it
I
comes
feel
to
like
Oh
that's
no!
crochet.
like the cheater's way.
You know
You know,
what?
some of us aren't
It
talented,
still
Laura.
hurts my fingers.
Look,
So
it's innovation, okay? That's what that is.
No, I understand that
Like
knitting
I'm a
and
great artist.
crochet is like you
I'm
can
an
do it on a
amazing
loom and
3D
whatnot.
artist.
I feel like that's not truly knitting. I feel like that's more like
it's
sewing.
not knitting, it's crochet,
I
and
know, but
sewing is different.
people can do it on the like crochet and knit on a loom, and I
Yeah.
don't feel like it's the same as actual hand knitting.
Well, I'm sorry for those of us that can't freehand it.
I feel like it's a different talent,
We need a
honestly.
crutch.
Yeah, wow, it's cool.
Don't you well me.
It's cool. No, it's cool. Hey,
Just like so, I will admit I am not as talented as Laura is as it comes to knitting. I can make blankets. That's about it.
I
see,
don't have the patience for
but
blankets. I make beanies.
I don't feel like it's a talent though. I feel like it's just knowing the stitches. Once you learn the
Like,
stitches,
Well,
you can do anything.
but here's the thing is I can watch an entire YouTube video on how to like freehand it and everything, but I have such a hard time like keeping everything together, and that's what a loom does for me is it allows me to kind of focus and pull what I need to pull and move on, and then sit here and go, well, fuck, I just fucked everything up.
Hmm.
I've like beginning it and then like doing rows and shit like I have no idea what I'm doing if I freehand it.
No, I get that. It takes
So
practice
yeah,
and
and I've
commitment.
I've tried multiple times. My grandma knits, and it's one of those things that I picked up on a loom.
I also do cross stitch, not as much anymore, but I used to do cross stitch, but I cannot embroider.
I can embroider. It may not look nice, but I can embroider.
I I can't do that. I don't have the patience or
Focus?
the.
No, you have the focus.
I have the
She
focus.
has the
I it's
focus.
the fact more of I hate using a freaking needle because I always stab myself in the
Well,
finger.
that's what they make.
See,
Thimbles
you
for.
need a
Yes.
yes, but I also before I poke through, I kind of apply pressure. I don't even put my finger there. I just kind of poke, and if it pokes through and it's not where I need it to be, I just adjust a little bit.
Cross
Like
stitch is
I
easier with the needles because the needles are duller, and
Yeah.
because
oh
you're actually 95% of the time going through an already established hole in the fabric.
Mhm. I used to use
Mm.
just normal sewing needles
Ouch.
when I was doing, this is when I was still in high school and we had a sewing class.
Hmm.
So it's when we were doing I forgot what it's called. We stitch the pattern onto the fabric. Fuck, what is that called? You just said it too.
Embroidery.
Yes. So when we did embroidery, you usually want to use like the duller needles because again, like you put your fingers, you don't want to stab yourself. So before we actually had proper like embroidery needles, I was just using basic bitch sewing needles and just going for it.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime, like I said, I would just poke it through and I was like, well, shit, this isn't where I want it. I just pull it back out.
Right. Which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then we got the proper needles. And I was like, oh my God, now I don't have to worry about stabbing myself. But
See,
those are a lot harder to pull through the fabric if you fuck it
Mhm.
up because they're thicker.
Jericho, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, you're at the beginning, you made the same comment that you were talking about, where they were like, "Hey, we all have the same hobby," and I was like, "No, I have plenty of hobbies." And Lorelai was, "No, you all we do is game," and I'm like, "No, because there's differences."
Okay, so what are your different hobbies?
Oh, I have many.
Go for it.
All right, so I like comedy. Anybody who knows me knows that. And one of my favorite, it's my guilty pleasure hobby, is I like telling inappropriate jokes in inappropriate places, and I target people who have either a moral or a egocentric superiority, because there's nothing like having them feel like a hypocrite when they laugh at a joke that they will like open-handedly denounce as being inappropriate and never to be said. That's one of my favorite hobbies. See, it's a unique one. No one else here has it.
Yeah. I didn't know that
I
was
was just
considered
gonna
a
say cool
hobby, though.
story.
Oh, I mean, I do have stories about it, and it's not always like, see, people think when I say stuff like that, they think instantly like that sounds vindictive and sadistic. No, it's not like that. It's just people take themselves too seriously at times and forget to laugh. You have to laugh because life becomes a soul-crushing, depressing place to be if you don't. So, to give you an example, uh, my wife and I, we're of the Mormon faith, and we go to a temple to pray and pray for others and do all this kind of stuff, very churchy stuff. But it's a very like sacred place. It's a very reverent place, such that people they speak in whispered tones and they're very polite and everything there is very spiritual. Well, when I was there one time to do service, we do baptismals for people, and you get in the water, get dunked, the whole thing. And we wear these jumpsuits, so that way, you don't have
And
to just sit there in your underwear
the
or
temple
something.
provides them to you.
Yeah. Well, uh, I'm a fat guy, but for some reason, like my girth is apparently deceptive, and people think I'm smaller than I actually am. So every time I go, and this is just clothing in general, people always give me sizes way too small. They'll look at me like you look like a 1 or 2X, and I'm like, yeah, you're missing about 4. But sure, you know. So I was trying to get this across to this woman, and she was asking me what size I needed, and I said, well, they always, have trouble giving me. I need a big size, and of course she starts talking about 1X, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So, she's like, so what are you looking for? And I said, well, I'm looking for something in like a small circus tent. And of course, this woman in this very reverent place is not expecting this answer from me, so she starts losing it behind the counter, and she's just laughing with one of those belly laugh, cackle laughs, And one of the other guys there who like the greeter people who help you if you need help getting to places or whatnot, if you're like new, comes rushing over and trying to figure out what's going on. And so my wife is like, go ahead, tell him. I said, well, and I repeat the statement, and he starts dying laughing, which causes the two people at the front who greet you and like sign people in to come rushing over thinking there's some giant thing going on because, again, everyone speaks in hushed tones. Now, I found this hilarious, but you know, it was meant to be just a little hee hee kind of joke, but it turned into a thing. No one got mad, but that's what I mean as an example of inappropriate jokes at inappropriate times. Like I'm not seeking chaos and destruction. It's just sometimes a bit of levity goes across a long way when it's in the just the right moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're kind of like me where I don't make jokes. Well, I make jokes, but they're usually very vulgar, and I make people uncomfortable.
No, you usually tell me the jokes, and I have to sit here
Oh
and go,
yeah, that's true.
maybe we don't say that in public, and I do the same thing with you of, maybe we don't say that.
When I'm with Bubba, I'm allowed to say whatever I want.
Okay, but usually you and I are in a group of people.
You can say whatever you want to me too, Jess. It's fine.
Well, no, I know, but it's one of those things where I get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And to me, he tends to read the room at times. So to some people, it may be an inappropriate joke.
I know. I thought it was fucking hysterical.
Well,
Can you
I
imagine
mean,
working in the clothing store and somebody coming up to you and asking for a small circus tent size?
I
I think
mean,
my
like-
dad's done that.
That's
Okay,
kind of funny.
I have a joke that I think you guys will just it'll basically condense everything I'm saying into a very succinct point. It's this tired old joke. I say it all the time. Anytime the scenario comes up.
mhm.
Anytime people want to take my picture in a group event or work, whatever, don't care. I'm not a photogenic person. I've never liked my picture being taken. It doesn't bother me. It's a waste of time, and I don't like to be inefficient if I don't have to be. And it's always like a production, right? Everybody stand here, smile, put your arm around, and it's this whole
Uh-huh.
fucking thing. So
It's annoying.
exactly. So when people ask me to, I just
Act
go,
like
look,
you like each
I
other
don't
is what
mind
my
taking
dad
it.
says.
I tell them, hey, I don't mind if you want to take my picture, but understand that it's going to come out terribly. And they go, no, 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 you're fine, you're fine. And I say, no, you don't understand. I was cursed when I was younger. And they're like, what are you talking about? Because they all you look like cursed, right? And I'm just like, yeah, when I was a young man, in my teens, I wasn't the nicest or the smartest person at that moment. So one day I was walking down the street and I saw this old gypsy woman. And of course, she had like the long veils and the coverings and the whole thing. And her face happened to have excessive amount of moles on it. So I made an off-color comment about it. So she turned around and she cursed me. Ever since then, anytime I get my picture taken, there's a fat Mexican that shows up. And I happen to be a fat Mexican in real life, then people laugh. And then they try to hide their laughter because they're like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing at that. And of course, we go from there. So that's the kind of inappropriate jokes I'm talking about is I'll take a shot at myself because I don't care. Like it doesn't bother me. But that's the kind of stuff. Now in the past, I've had much more and vulgar jokes and things like that. Like before the woke community was around and we had more tolerance and that kind of stuff, the idea of, people inadvertently gay bashing was fairly common for the time and place, right? Well, I have a friend of mine, his name I will omit for sake of privacy,
Thank you.
but um, he's a young man and he's just one of those naturally fit guys because all his jobs and everything he does is kind of like outdoorsy and recreational and he's lifting stuff and moving stuff. So he's a pretty in shape guy. Like he's not hitting the gym every day, but he just has that natural built kind of look to him. And he doesn't look half bad. Well, he also had a tendency to be one of those guys who wore t-shirts like always one size smaller than he probably should be wearing just because like it's more form fitting for him. And because he keeps himself kept and he happens to be a young attractive guy, it was very easy to convince people around us that he lived an alternate lifestyle. Of course he didn't, and he would be embarrassed about this, but he wasn't one for confrontation. So I would just get more and more elaborate with these scenarios I would create, and it was funny to watch his reaction because he would be embarrassed by it. And so stuff like that I used to
Now
do.
people would just find it extremely offensive that you did that shit to him.
Huh?
I said now people would find it extremely offensive that you did that shit to him.
Exactly, right? So
Yeah.
I don't go around doing that anymore because times have changed. And I wasn't making fun of gay people because I've had plenty of gay friends. I still have gay friends. It's just, like I grew up in California, so we had inclusionism, we had the gay rights parade, we had all these sort of things, West Hollywood, long before rainbow flags and everything took over the world. So to me, growing up, when I would joke about gay things with my straight friends or gay friends, nobody was offended because everybody got the joke. And even today, to a lesser degree, it's still accepted in some ways. For example, I have a friend of mine who I role play, or not role play, I'm sorry, play video games with online. Lorelai knows him. He's a streamer, like we've been streaming. And he's gay. He's openly gay. He streams. He likes to cross dress, and he's completely comfortable with who he is and his lifestyle. And he happened to be in a chat room with me one day when I was really, really sick. And when I get sick, my voice drops about 4 octaves, so I sound like Corpse Husband.
Mm-hmm.
And he happened to get his engine got a little riled up by that. And so, of course, I was like flirting with him and teasing him about it because, you know, he was making a big show of it because that's how he is. He's very flamboyant. And especially when he's streaming, he just talks basically incessantly. But it's never to be offensive, right? So I'm not trying to hurt anybody or damage anybody's reputation or anything like that, but he understood it.
And now
So I,
I call him my sister wife.
yeah, and he calls me his husband.
That's
Um,
funny. That's what I call Jessie.
right? And
What?
Lorelai,
What do you call
My
Jesse?
sister wife.
Wait,
Yeah, we're
yeah,
sister wives.
wait. Does that mean I'm married to Jesse, or do you have another husband?
That is to be determined because apparently I have many internet husbands without realizing it.
Oh,
Wait, is
yeah.
that a hobby? Can we call that a hobby where we collect internet
Just
husbands and stuff?
collecting people.
Yes, it's called
I think
hoeing.
that's human
It's
trafficking.
It's called hoeing? Well,
No,
you know what?
it's hoeing, yeah. And if it's online, it's e-hoeing.
Okay, I'm an e-ho then.
I'm
Yes,
apparently an
it's like
emo as
eHarmony.
well. Because Jesse and I just keep collecting people.
That's how it happens. You just
I'm not a hoe with all of them.
well,
Well,
I'm hoping you bring these people that you've
River.
collected over to know all of
who
our
the
social
fuck's
platforms.
River, Jesse?
I mean,
you're like, man,
it's not a lot of
Oh my god.
don't
Now I'm
don't let
thinking
Jesse
about
fool
it.
you. The only thing getting handcuffs in that police station on that RP server was her. Trust me, that's
Oh
not what
yeah.
happened.
Oh no, I'll admit that.
Don't worry. What Jesse and I do in the RP server is what Jesse and I do in the RP server. It stays
What
in the
happens
RP
the
server.
RP server
Stays in the RP server.
server.
50 digital shades of gray. That's fine. That's cool. No,
Said
no
it was
kink
just
shaming.
50.
The whole color palette.
Nope.
Got
There's
the
more shades of gray.
just gotta get the DLC.
Gotta get the DLC. That extra content.
What other hobbies do we do besides video gaming and crocheting?
Well, video games is a big thing. You can't just claim it as gaming anymore. Like that's you could claim as a generalized, yeah, my significant other games, but as a specific hobby, there's huge differences, right? Like a role-playing gamer, for example, who plays RPGs and talks to themselves or whatever during is different than a role player who plays like GTA or Final Fantasy 14 and like is more like D&D and has characters and growth and relationships and all that kind of stuff. Same thing like an esports gamer, someone who plays competitively is different than a casual gamer. And so the hobbies are drastically different compared to just someone who, I just like playing video games, right? Like there's a whole subgenre to that.
And as a streamer, I don't consider video gaming a hobby. I consider it part of what I do on a normal basis.
See, that's another thing too. A lot of streamers don't often get to play for fun; they have to play for work. So
I do read as a hobby as well.
Samesies.
Mm-hmm.
And I just ordered a book that my mother turned me on about. It's called Just Mercy, I think. It's also a Netflix television show, and I ordered it because
Ooh.
I thought it would fit into a project that we're working on.
what about escape rooms? That's one of the hobbies we do.
Yeah, oh, they're so fun.
Is that a hobby?
Yeah. You go out, you get together, you pay money, you do it. I mean,
They're so fun.
They are incredibly fun. I can agree.
we don't just do like one a year or something. We do multiple.
Oh, see, I've never been able to get anyone to want to go do one. It sounds like so much fun.
It's incredibly
Well,
fun.
when you come visit Kansas City, we'll take you.
Well, I should have been going down there in a couple weeks, but
Also,
Oh wait, I can't go until I'm healed though. Sorry.
oh yeah, no,
I was
I'm
just
just
gonna
saying
say,
it
Laura's
wouldn't be
just
happening
gonna-
anyways.
Laura's gonna hobble
her way
around the fucking room, be like, guys, I think I found something.
Well, yeah, because there's some that you have to like crawl it through. You know, I can't fucking
Oh
crawl.
God! What about old people? What if I?
Oh, they're
Old
fun.
people only have one hobby, okay, and that's just
My
being alive.
grandpa loves escape rooms.
I
Like
love them.
he was literally getting down like to the floor, like on
Mhm.
his knees, like looking underneath. So, like he enjoys it.
See, we get to be old people, Lorelai, so that we have we take the young people with us, let them do all the crawling.
Yep. Right now, I would have to do that.
Also, I don't know about you guys, but like I'm not a super foodie. Like I don't go to every single restaurant that opens up in my town, but like I'm always in search of like the best of a genre. So like I want to know where the best Chinese food in my city is, or I want to know the
No,
best
I do the
Mexican.
same. I'm the same. Like I've found where I live, I've found the best Chinese food. And I mean, I even went to like a good 20-30 mile radius outside because I was not pleased with the choices I had.
Mm.
I enjoy most nerdy hobbies, so I like, computers, tech. I like science, history,
You do role playing too and card
role
games.
playing, card games, board games, video games. Back when I was younger, I used to do more like running around stuff like paintball, and I'm trying to get into airsoft, but
I used to
I'm
sing
not.
as a hobby. I used to sing.
Hmm. And you draw and decorate things.
I do now. I've been doing a lot more art stuff. Yep.
Yeah. A hobby is basically anything that you do for fun in your free time, right? Like
Yep.
some people have hobbies of cleaning. Like they just love a clean house, and so that's zen and relaxing to them to do that.
I've
Speaking of,
been
Well,
sorry.
it's just like everybody's like, "Oh, you're so talented." I was like, when I show all my diamond paintings, I'm like, it's not it, it's not that hard. A 5-year-old can do it.
No, but it's talent to find the patience and the focus to do that.
Yeah, and that's where like I kind of like am giddy about where literally I'll sit there for hours and do it, and it's really not that difficult. You throw a freaking show on in the background and you zone out. Like there have been times where I've been working on one and I start something, and next thing I know, it's like 5 hours later.
Yep. That's how I used
It
to be in The Sims.
Yeah, and it's just like it's one thing where it's like I don't know a lot of people that actually do it, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, you should sell them." Well, then it's not a hobby, and then it feels like a job, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
not enjoyable for me.
Oh yeah.
Which I might do it. Like, I mean, I have a lot. I have a lot just sitting in a closet, not hung up or anything. And I was like, maybe like when the high school my son goes to does their like art fair for the swim team. Maybe I'll pay for a booth and see what happens.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, do it, cause you'll have a stockpile then.
Oh yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like I decided I was like, well, maybe I'll stockpile them, throw them up on eBay. If they sell, great. If not, I'm not being like, this is my new career.
I think you and I should definitely collaborate though and use some of my old photography with some of those create your own diamond paintings.
Oh yeah, they're a little spinny. But I've seen some of your photos, and I was like, I want that
Yeah,
black and white.
I have a lot of cemetery photos.
I know it's my aesthetic.
Yeah.
that's another
I
thing
do
Lorelai's
miss.
finished. Nice visiting cemeteries and taking pictures and cleaning them up and stuff.
I miss that. I actually never edited any of my photos. They were all natural.
Well, I meant clean up as in like actually clean the grave sites
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. So
But
I do
you
miss
did make
taking
a good
pictures.
point about talent versus skill. Like a skill is trained and learned, talent is just natural aptitude.
Hmm. Yeah. Man, I miss taking pictures.
Now, would you consider my obsession and everything about dinosaurs and prehistoric life forms and everything is
Do you
like
research it?
yeah.
Then yes,
Yeah,
Yes, it's a hobby.
that's a
absolutely.
hobby.
I even have like the Funko Pops of Jurassic Park. I have where Muldoon is getting about to die from the raptor. I have some other ones. I have some like I am so obsessed with dinosaurs. I used to have binders of research and sketches of like bones with measurements and everything. Like I was deep into, I mean, I still love me some dinosaurs, but
One of my newest hobbies is researching serial killers.
I consider like watching serial killer documentaries a hobby.
Do we have any writers among us?
I used to, but not anymore.
Not like stories and stuff like that, but like I guess poetry is more how people would describe it.
Hmm. All right.
I tell stories. I don't write them down though. I'm like a bard.
Jess knows what I used to write. I don't write.
Oh, I love it.
I don't write
Yeah,
much
so do I.
anymore.
Ooh, here's another hobby. I like to describe Lorelai as a continually shrinking person to new people we meet. That's always fun.
Have you guys ever had one of those conversations with him?
No, because I would tell him I'm not dumb. Everybody shrinks as they
Oh no,
age.
but I mean, in the course of a conversation, though, I'll start at 4'9", but by the end of the conversation, I'm only 3 inches tall.
Yeah, I'm not that gullible. I'd tell
It's
him to go kick rocks.
it's actually quite funny.
If I did that, it would be like hurling boulders at her.
Okay. I guess another hobby to point out is watching streams on Twitch, huh?
But then you could sit there and say like watching TV shows and binging TV shows is a hobby.
Is
That
it
is a
it?
hobby.
It is?
I would
Yeah.
think so.
Oh, well, then I guess that's a hobby of mine. But see, I get really emotionally attached to certain shows, and I will watch them over and over and over and over and over again. Partly because my anxiety does not. I know what's going to happen.
Are you the type of reader that you get attached to the characters in the book, and then when you're done with the book, you feel like you've lost your friends?
That's why I read the same books over and over and over too.
I
Yes, and that's why I refuse to finish some series.
yeah, yeah, I've had a couple books like that where I would finish it and I was just like, man, I missed them.
Yeah, nope. I get to a point in a book and I'm like, okay, I only have this many like chapters left, and I'm like, nope, done. I'm not finishing it. They don't die if I don't finish.
Well, see, I get emotionally attached, but what really pisses me off is when I start a really good series and then it just stops. And then
Oh
you
yeah.
the author has another series that they're focusing on, and then you wait 20 years for another frickin' book.
There was a series that I was told to check out, but don't expect an ending because the author died before the
Uh-huh.
second book could come out. So the first book was never like.
Oh no, I do not tell me because I will not I will have anxiety for the rest of my life wondering what the fuck happened.
Yeah. I don't remember what series or what book it was, but yeah,
Well,
that
it's
would suck.
just like so I'm a big Laurel K. Hamilton fan. She writes smut.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so she writes the Anita Blake series. And she's on book like 20 something, 30 something, and I'm like, woman, I can't keep up. There's too many. I don't have enough shelf space to put them. And everybody's like, oh, get a Kindle. I don't know. Collecting books, is that a hobby?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
I will read certain books like on the Kindle because I'm just like might be interested, and if I don't like them then I'm not wasting my money because it's on like my Kindle Unlimited or something like that, so I can read them for free.
Mm-hmm.
But I love collecting books.
Speaking
I
of
have books
collections,
everywhere.
yeah. Speaking of collections, Jericho, you collect
Yes.
games, board games.
I mean, kinda. I mean, I guess you could technically call it a collection, but I just like buy things that I like. or that sound interesting. And I tend to buy a series if I like the series prior that it's based off of. So what she's referencing is I have two games that I collect series on. One is Betrayal on the House of the Hill, and I like the original and I like the remake, and so I bought the third edition and the expansions for it thus far. And the other one is Resident Evil, which is based on the video games, and I bought all of them that came out because they came out in a weird order. It's like Resident
And
Evil 2 came out, then 3, then 1.
Have you read the Resident Evil books?
No.
he's not a reader.
Oh.
But you also collect all of the Cards Against Humanity packs. You also
That's true.
collect all of the Hero Quest packs.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not much of a, it's not like, I don't consider it a collection because it's just adding, it's like DLC, right? Like I don't consider I have a collection of a game because it comes out with DLC. So I kind of chalk it under that.
I think it's a collection.
But we usually do this with most podcasts, and we did not. The definition, according to Merriam-Webster, for the word hobby, in terms of hobbies being plural, is a pursuit outside of one's regular occupation, especially for relaxation. So, yes, anything you do that you do to unwind or to decompress, or basically anything you do for yourself for fun that has nothing to do with work or an occupational pursuit, then that's a hobby because it's not something you have to do. It's something you choose to do.
I collect things that are based on Clue, the board game,
It's cool.
and Oregon Trail. Oh, and I collect squirrels.
I collect stuffed animals, penguins, and Nightmare Before Christmas stuff.
Yep.
And books, right?
Well, and books. Oh, and I guess weird forms of artwork. Like, I really, really, really wanted to go to the Oddities Expo last weekend, but it would have been really expensive taking the kids with. And part of the reason why was they had a taxidermy squirrel in a bikini that I wanted to buy and send you.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of funny. I don't know how I'd feel about a taxidermied squirrel. I think I'd be sad.
Yes, she would be. I have to endlessly hear about the squirrel head trophy in the
The
forest game
forest.
that we
He
play.
killed a squirrel in the forest.
Well, he was probably hungry.
It died of natural causes, okay?
Yeah, I really do think that all these squirrels did die of natural causes, though.
Yes.
Chest,
Gravity is a natural force, and the rock that flew and hit it, that was just gravity in play. So,
Oh, jeez. Chest, do you collect anything?
No, I don't collect anything.
Huh.
I used to collect pennies, but that was about it.
I will say, like, in RP, I do collect all the blunt force instruments that I can get my hands on.
there you go.
That's funny.
Oh, and all the sharp, pointy things I can get my hands on.
I used to collect movies. And of course, if it has a sequel, you have to get the sequel whether or not you watch it because it's a sequel.
Exactly.
I collect Magic the Gathering cards.
You do.
I used to collect
Dice.
Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yep, there you go. See?
And dice. We collect dice.
I also have a hobby of I really like novelty things. I don't buy novelty things in the sense like I collect knickknacks, but I like trying things, especially like food. So like, I'm not a candy person or a sweets person in general, but if I'm in like the store aisle and I see a new Snickers variety that I've never seen before or something, I will
I'm
buy
the
it,
same.
and just to try it. Like I don't actually want to eat the whole thing.
You just
But
want a sample.
yeah, I just want a little nibble to see what it's like, and then I just give it to Lorelai because she eats anything that has sugar in it.
I was gonna say, and then it's good that you have a wife that is a sugar fiend.
I will say we call them tchotchkes, but they're knickknacks. Will have I have a lot of tchotchkes. I do collect Legos. I do put them together. So I guess that's a hobby. But it has to be very specific types of Legos. Like I put together the Friends scene that they came out with where it was
Patience
at
has
Central
that.
Perk.
Yeah.
I
Facing something.
Star Wars, like I really, 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 really wish I had like $900 to buy the Millennium Falcon Lego set, and I would sit there for days putting it together.
I've never done
That's
a Lego build, but I think it would be amazing.
fun. They actually at the convention I went to for work, they gave away these giant, really expensive Lego sets.
Mm.
And one of them was like, I think it was, yeah, the full size Millennium Falcon. It came in this gigantic box. It was funny too because the person who won it was this little old lady. And
Oh.
everyone's like, how's she getting that on the plane? But they shipped it to her.
Yeah, I want to try a Lego build. I do have the Batmobile like car model from back when I was in high school that I have to put together still.
Um, I I'm looking at my tchotchkes right now. Oh, I've started collecting vinyl records.
Do you have a record player?
I don't. And
Okay.
I keep looking to buy one, and I'm just like, but to me, I'm like, oh, it's not gonna sound the same as like growing up and my dad had his record player, because it's gonna be all like this digital record players now. So I try, like, I go antiquing,
Mm-hmm.
so I always keep a lookout for like a vintage record player.
You can get regular record players pretty easy.
Oh,
Like,
really?
Yeah.
yeah, on Amazon they
Yeah.
have them, because that's
Oh.
like in like back in the day you would get a lot of those digital like pieces of junk they had on there because it was just a decoration. It worked, but it was really more like, look, it looks retro. But the whole reason vinyl stayed popular is because the sound is completely different. It's much more robust. In fact, now they're coming out with stuff to convert stuff into traditional sound, but using digital technology. Sony put out like a $3,000 Walkman that lets you convert digital soundtracks and the MP4s and stuff into like vinyl sounding music.
Well,
Here,
I only have 3, but so there's a head shop called Down in the Valley, that so they're not vintage records, but they're records still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love ELO. They're like, they came to, I think it was Target Field or something one year, and as a Christmas present, Sean was gonna try and get me tickets, but they were like $500 a piece, even for like the really bad seats.
Mm.
So he did this whole thing. He bought me this cute little box with a turtle so I could keep the tchotchke for me and everything like that. And he's like, I was gonna buy the tickets and put them in there. I was like, no, it's fine. But he got me their greatest hits album, and it has the record. The record has the cover printed on it too. So I'm like, I don't want to use it because I'm afraid it's gonna mess it up.
I have.
But even my ex-husband, the 1 year after we got separated, he got me Kiss albums, because Kiss is one of my favorite
Mm,
bands.
I have.
digest.
I have Michael Bublé. I have Bob Marley, and then I have vintage big band records.
Oh, I love those. I'm trying to think of any other hobbies I have.
Any other collections?
I like
Mm,
debating.
I've
that's
collected.
not a hobby.
I've collected every single Sims game that was released. I can't say that because I don't have this like the Sim Cities or anything, but the actual simulator Sims. I have Sims 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I collect video games technically.
How many video games do you have on your Steam, babe?
Just Steam?
Yeah, just Steam.
That's a good question. I know there's a way to look it up. I think it's on my profile page. Hold on. I own. Wow, Steam doesn't track certain purchases. It only tracks like I think the ones you actually paid money for, like not the free ones and stuff. But according to my page, I own 715 games and 1129 DLCs, and I currently have 98 on my wish list.
Oh, let's see.
I have over 7,600 achievements, 6 perfect games. I could have more perfect games. I just stopped achievement hunting a long time ago. Though. Got tired with it.
I only own 68 games.
And then on Epic, I own a whole bunch, and then I own a bunch on what's that other one? Origin. I have a bunch on there. I have a ton on Goog.
I don't know what Goog is.
Uh, it's like retro games. They do new games now too, but they got started by taking old games that weren't playable. You know, those ones that people are just like, sorry, they're too old to play now. And they would take their team of people and make them work for the new consoles, and then they buy the rights to them and sell them. Well, I can't see my. I can look at my library on Epic, but it doesn't actually tell me how many I have. You'd think it would, but apparently not. Oh, here we go. I own 359 games on Epic. And then I own on consoles a few, I don't know, another 5,000 or something in various formats. Ever since I switched to PC gaming, I haven't gone back to consoles though.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
I'm not against consoles. It's just the problem is none of my friends are on consoles anymore, so I have to play like randos and whatnot.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else?
I mean,
Mm,
I think it's pretty good, right? It's a casual topic.
not that I. Oh, okay. So it still has to do with gaming, but I have this really bad habit of when I play Final Fantasy 14 online, I collect the articles of clothing and play dress up Barbie in there because you can. So
Let's
like
be honest here, we all love dress up Barbie.
well yeah, but
Yep.
so like there is even like a website where people will post their glam and I will be like, "Ooh, I really like this piece, but I like it better with this one and I like it better in this color." And I save them cuz it'll tell you like what dungeons you can do in order to get them. And I will literally sit there for hours grinding the same dungeon over and over and over and over again until I get the damn piece I'm looking for. But they only allow you to hold so many, so I don't have everything I want, and they're not expanding the clothing box
Yeah, why wouldn't
anytime
they?
soon.
Oh, why wouldn't they?
You should look at the guild hall options because I think you can get mannequins and place outfits on them for display.
Ooh.
So you might be able to cheat and just do that. Also, if you have a guild house, I forgot what they call it, some guild mansion or something, but
Free company.
you get like a free company storage.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just start a free company for the pure sake of just dumping your stuff in there.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of doing that.
I do stuff like that, not with clothing as much, but like I'll collect like unique or goofy stuff in games just because I want to, especially like survival games. Like I kind of have to make my own fun because they're all very samey to me. So a lot of times the actual grind and the whatever we're doing in the game is sort of tedious. It's not anything I find super enjoyable. I like getting something so I can get to the next thing, but I quickly am not like, oh man, I remember my ex. But like certain games, like Valheim is a good example. I basically use whatever the most effective weapon was just to hack stuff down, but I liked fighting with the big tower shield and spears. So there's a clear progression to like the next level. And so whenever I would move to the next level, I would purposely build weapon hangers and and put those up on the wall of my base to show like this is where I was. I had maxed out my spear and my shield for this level, and then it's my little trophy of accomplishment.
Aww.
Um, I'm not a super collectathon like Pokemon. I don't care if I catch all of them. Like it doesn't bother me not to catch all of them. I like catching them if they're there, but it's like it's this one only appears once between 3 a.m. and what I like to screw all that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be bothered. Um, but yeah, I collect just weird, goofy stuff like that in games.
Oh, one
Um,
thing that we were collecting for me were mini food items, like mini hot sauces
Oh, the mini,
or
like the little mini cart things.
like mini soap bars, like anything that's mini. I don't know why we started it. Mini dice.
mhm.
I don't remember what
'Cause
started
you're
that.
tiny, so it's your size.
So, does anyone else here play Pal World?
No.
I play Palworld. I mean, not like religiously, but I have it.
Oh, so yeah, I started playing, but I got a little burnt out, but I'm gonna go back. I have to, and I don't know if it's like an OCD, I have to catch and get all 10 of the same thing to get the experience. But then it's like, oh, well, you can only have so many pals. So then it's like, I have to sell them, but I collected them all.
Mm.
Jesse, it's not Pokemon. I'm sorry,
No,
sweetie.
it's better. I have a screenshot of my favorite one, which is a boss sleeping, and she is fucking adorable. I've named her Penny.
I
Oh.
captured one of those like love lizards that's like super horny and tries to like mate with
Yeah,
you.
with the heart that hangs down like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we got a couple of those, and I'm just like, okay, let's yeah.
I'm the same way though. I liked when I was playing Palworld, I would go and be like, oh, I need 10 jump luffs or whatever the hell they're called, and I just be like, all right, go get 10 of these. The only thing I didn't like was when you had to get like 10 of the bosses because you have to wait for the respawn and slow, and it's just like,
Mm. All right. I don't know. Ooblets sounds like that though, because you have to collect the ooblets, and there's so many ooblets, but you can only have so many with you at a time.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for today's podcast. I hope you all enjoyed our little discussion on hobbies today.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share.
Come to the
And
Discord, hang
subscribe.
out, have fun. Goodbye.
bye.
Yeah, well, speaking of collecting things, I hope we collect more viewers. Hey!
Embrace your inner hobbyist. Start making us a hobby. Podcast forever.
Exactly.